U.S.-Iran deal signed. B-52 crash kills 8. Newsom probed by DOJ. And UK social media ban. Greetings, humanity. Let's grok the news. Starting with the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Evian-le-Bain, France. President Donald Trump announced that the United States and Iran have reached a memorandum of understanding to end active military operations and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The agreement, digitally signed late Sunday, includes a 60-day ceasefire framework with demining operations already underway. Trump described the deal as one that will bring a lot of success to the world and said full reopening of the critical waterway is set for Friday. Speaking upon arrival at the G7 summit in France, the president said the pact ends a period of direct confrontation that had disrupted global energy flows. Vice President J.D. Vance added that Iran must destroy its enriched nuclear material, end further enrichment, and accept strong international inspections in exchange for economic benefits and potential reconstruction support. Officials indicated the full text of the agreement will be released soon after a formal ceremony. The Strait of Hormuz handles roughly 1/5 of global oil trade. Its closure in recent weeks drove up energy prices worldwide. Markets reacted positively, with oil prices falling and stocks rising in Asia and Europe. Shipowners, however, remain cautious and are waiting for concrete evidence that safe transit has indeed resumed. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that any continued Israeli presence or attacks in Lebanon would violate the understanding. Israeli officials expressed deep skepticism. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel was not consulted on key nuclear elements and does not know the full terms. Several Israeli ministers denounced the deal, while right-wing voices criticized American negotiators. Iranian dissident groups welcomed steps toward ending the war, but warned that any peace, allowing the current regime to survive, would ultimately strengthen it. At the G7, leaders are discussing the deal's implications alongside the war in Ukraine. Trump signaled optimism about possible breakthroughs there as well. French President Emmanuel Macron, hosting the summit, is expected to hold bilateral talks with Trump. Protests near the venue have drawn thousands over issues including the Iran conflict, climate policy, and global inequity. Some turned violent. The agreement leaves many core disputes unresolved, particularly Iran's nuclear program. U.S. intelligence has indicated Tehran remains unwilling to make major concessions on enrichment. Analysts say the deal represents a temporary pause rather than a comprehensive resolution. Regional actions are mixed. Gulf states show cautious relief over stabilized shipping, while concerns persist about long-term Iranian capabilities. Domestically, the announcement comes as Trump marks his 80th birthday and continues to reshape U.S. policy priorities. The Iran memorandum marks a significant diplomatic development after months of armed conflict. Its success will depend on verification of demining efforts, compliance with inspection requirements, and whether the ceasefire holds amid ongoing regional tensions, especially involving proxy Iranian forces in Hezbollah and Israeli forces in Lebanon and Syria. Markets are watching closely for signs of sustained stability in the energy supplies, and global leaders at the G7 will spend the coming days attempting to shape the next phase of this fragile opening. Well, in the opinion of this observer, any deal that leaves the current Iranian regime in power is not a deal that can last. I'm Robert Gardner. I use GROK each weekday to truthfully summarize the news, and I give that to you along with a little of my commentary as well. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, my wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale. Why, you've never heard Little Red Riding Hood told like this. It's a page-turning Southern Gothic story for adults that you can't put down. It might not put you down for a while. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com. All one word, thecuriousauthor.com. Also available at Amazon. Now, we grok the news with headlines from around the world. Dateline: Edwards Air Force Base, California. A U.S. Air Force B-52 Stratofortress bomber crashed shortly after takeoff during a test flight, killing all 8 people on board. Military officials confirmed the incident at the California base and launched a full investigation into the cause. The loss marks a serious setback for the strategic bomber fleet at a time of heightened global tensions. Recovery teams continue work at the site. Dateline: Sacramento, California. Governor Gavin Newsom accused the Trump Justice Department of launching a politically motivated investigation into him and his wife. Newsom called the probe retribution. Federal officials have not publicly detailed the scope, but the claim adds to tensions between the Trump administration and Democrat-led states. Dateline: London in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced plans for the nationwide ban on social media use by children under 16. We spoke of this yesterday. The proposal aims to protect young people from harmful content and online exploitation. Details on enforcement and exemptions remain under discussion as lawmakers prepare legislation. This observer has heard criticisms from people who are concerned that this is just another control measure. Dateline: New Delhi, India. Authorities temporarily blocked the messaging app Telegram nationwide ahead of major medical entrance exams. Officials cited concerns over leaked question papers and organized cheating. The move highlights growing government efforts to secure exam integrity in the world's largest democracy. Dateline: Jakarta, Indonesia. A 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck Sulawesi, sending panicked residents fleeing into the streets. The quake caused damage in several areas, but no immediate reports of major casualties. Authorities issued tsunami warnings and then lifted them. Residents remain on edge after past deadly seismic events. Dateline: Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Ebola outbreak in the eastern provinces has recorded its single highest day case count in a month. Health workers marked rare patient recoveries with song and dance. International teams continue aggressive contact tracing and vaccination efforts to contain this deadly virus. Dateline: Moscow, Russia. Ukrainian drones launched a large-scale attack on the Russian capital. President Zelensky described the strikes as pressure to end the war. Russia reported most drones were intercepted. Separate Russian missile attacks damaged historic sites in Ukraine. Dateline: Washington, D.C. Fox Corporation announced a $22 billion cash and stock deal to acquire the streaming platform Roku. The move expands Fox's reach in the rapidly growing connected TV market. Regulators are expected to review the transaction. Dateline: Tokyo, Japan. The Bank of Japan raised its key interest rate to the highest level in 31 years. Policymakers cited improving economic conditions and inflation trends. Markets closely watched the decision for its impact on regional finance. Dateline: Brussels, Belgium. The European Union formally opened accession talks with Ukraine after overcoming Hungarian objections. Kiev now faces years of required reforms while continuing its defense against Russian aggression. Leaders called it a historic but challenging next step. Dateline Beijing, China. President Xi Jinping met Myanmar's leader and reaffirmed Beijing's support. The discussions covered economic ties and regional stability. Observers note China's continued influence in Southeast Asian affairs. Dateline Seoul, South Korea. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol received a 30-year prison sentence related to a North Korea drone incident. The verdict caps a dramatic fall for the conservative leader. Appeals are expected in the politically charged case. Dateline Oslo, Norway. Well, the son of Norway's crown princess was sentenced to 4 years in prison for rape. The ruling shocked the Scandinavian monarchy and public. Courts cited the severity of the crimes against multiple victims. Well, this observer observed pictures of the young prince. The guy looks like a young James Bond villain. What a countenance. Handsome young fellow. But if looks could kill, that kid would be a killer. Dateline, Geneva, Switzerland. Protest against the G7 summit turned violent in parts of the city. Demonstrators cited opposition to war, inequality, and climate policies. Security forces clashed with some groups while others remained peaceful enough. Dateline, New York, New York. The New York Knicks continue celebrating their NBA championship. There were parades, fan unity events. Owner Jim Dolan delivered an emotional speech, and celebrations extended beyond just sports, boosting morale of a city that needed a morale boost. Dateline Brasilia, Brazil. A helicopter collision in Brazil killed musician Oliver Tree and 5 others. This incident occurred during what was described as a routine flight. Investigations continue into the cause of the mid-air crash. Dateline Jerusalem, Israel. Officials confirmed that Israel will maintain positions in southern Lebanon, despite the U.S.-Iran understanding. Sources said that withdrawal depends on Hezbollah fully honoring ceasefire terms, as if they ever have. Tensions remain high along the border. This observer does not expect these ceasefires to hold. And Dateline, Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court declined to hear a case involving alleged FBI surveillance of a former Trump campaign advisor. Justices also rejected review of a New York gun liability law and a Florida 6-person jury challenge. I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.